What's up, everyone? Hey, Darrell Evans here, co-founder of Yokel Local Internet Marketing. And listen, if you're watching this video, this live video, or maybe you're watching on the replay. By the way, if you are watching on the replay, go ahead and let me know in the comments section where you're watching from. Listen, we're going to be here today for just a little while talking about 7 essential marketing strategies that we as a team have spent the last couple of months as we wrap up 2018, heading into 2019. For those of you that don't know, we have a full-service digital marketing agency. We're a HubSpot partner. We run the only HubSpot user group here in the Las Vegas area, not just for HubSpot users, but for any entrepreneur and marketer running a business that wants to get better at marketing. You don't have to be on the HubSpot platform. And so what we are doing is looking at the key strategies into 2019. So I want to dive right in, not take too much of your time. I want to talk, number one, about your website's speed. Everyone is looking at, not everyone, Google, for example, they are really focusing on the speed of your website. So much so that they've even gone and made an announcement that speed is now a much more important ranking factor than on-page SEO and some of those other things. Obviously, for SEO, backlinks are still a major issue, but if your page isn't loading fast, and that means each and every page, not just your home page, but if a customer, if you get a page ranked in search, whether you're blogging or whatever that piece of content might be, and someone lands on that page and it loads slowly, you're in trouble in 2019. You will literally, everyone knows in the world of SEO that there's this thing called the Google dance, which means when you publish some new content, Google may give you higher rankings at the beginning to see what the user behavior is like on your page. Speed is a really big issue. So where do you start? If you have issues with speed, number one, you got to look at your server, your hosting provider. There's an example that comes to mind that we have a client that they're not on our hosting providing service, which we provide for all of our clients. He brought his own provider to us, and that's okay with us. But the problem is it's one of those really inexpensive providers that's $4.99 or $5.99 a month. And those were good at one point. But when you're in business to do commerce, and seconds matter, and that's what I'm talking about, seconds matter. You've got to upgrade your hosting service. So the other issue we've had, issues with SSL certificates, the securing of your website. If you're running a website right now that's not secure, you've got to look at a hosting provider that provides secure certificates, or you've got to pay for that security. That's a measure of how you're going to succeed in 2019. So tip number one is the speed of your website. The next thing is you have to be looking at how people see your website on a mobile device. You have to literally be optimizing your website, your conversion funnel sequences, every way possible. You've got to pay attention to your mobile user experience. Every page you create on your website should be with a smartphone in your hand. If you've got a developer on your team, or if you're outsourcing web design, they better have more than just a mobile optimized site or a mobile responsive site. You need to be really looking at the types of drag and drop editors where you can make the mobile version of your page look a slight different than your full version desktop version of the page. Okay, so mobile first indexing, Google released that earlier in 2018, once again from an SEO standpoint, but not just an SEO standpoint. If you're driving traffic from social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, any of those social networks, which I'm sure you should be if you're not, almost everybody there is going to be coming from a mobile device. So you're running your ads. We're going to talk about mobile ads in just a second, but you've got to be looking at your conversion process, the conversion funnel from a mobile perspective. Remove every bit of friction. So tip number 2 is make sure you're looking at your entire web experience from your user's experience from the mobile device first. Step number 3, content. Listen, we can talk about this all day. We have companies come to us all the time. I mean, we have hundreds and hundreds of consultations a year, and the number one thing people want us to do is get them ranked on the first page of Google, but then they have zero content available, and then they don't want to pay to have the content created. And guess what? Today, you can't get away with just writing a $20 article from some outsourced provider and have it be credible and have it rank on Google. And this isn't just content for search engine optimization purposes. Obviously, search has very high customer intent, very high intent based if they come from search. but not to exclude social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. If you're B2B, has to be a play for you. And if you're not creating content, you are in trouble in 2019. Listen, the platforms are user-generated content. And if you're not creating any, you're not a user then on the platform. And whether or not you are the person doing it themselves, like I'm creating the content for you right now, every single one of you who's an expert at what you do have a $600 or $1,000 smartphone in your wallet, and there's no reason for you not to be creating content. What type of content should you be creating? You should be creating short 1 minute, 2 minute FAQ videos, frequently asked question videos. You should be creating live videos like what I'm doing right here, which you may be watching on the replay, but I'm creating it live for the purpose of getting this content out there. This content can then be repurposed into a podcast. It could be repurposed into some blog content. It could be repurposed into social media. The thing about content is don't try to do 1,000 things. Do one thing that you can repurpose. And I've got an interview coming up with one of our leaders in repurposing content coming up for you here on our channel. So stay tuned on our channel. Be sure to hit the like button and turn on notifications because we're going to be going live and adding a lot of content in 2019. But if you don't have content, you're really not going to be able to market effectively in 2019. We are long past the day of optimizing your website on page and expecting that to carry the load for ranking. Backlinks, backlinks are the other major factor with SEO, and if you're not doing outreach, you're not going to get backlinks. So the only other way you're going to be able to play is in content. And again, if you're an SEO person, then you're going to have a strategy for backlinks. But if you're the average business owner out there, you're the average marketer working for a company, you're probably not going to have a very strong outreach campaign as if you were to hire a company like us, where we have a full-time outreach process where we go out and get backlinks. For example, one of our clients the other day was mentioned in the press in their market, and well, all we simply did was reach out to the journalist who wrote the article and said, could you do us a favor and link the either the phrase that mentioned him as the professional that he was, I'm not going to give it away in the video, and or his name and or his brand name, and send a link back to his website. I mean, it took all of 3 minutes to send the email or whatever it was, and a day or two later, the journalist wrote back and not only said yes, she would do it, but she also put the link on the website just that quickly, and that's one of the most effective things you can do. But again, if you're a solopreneur doing your own marketing, or if you're a marketer with 12 or 15 things, or 12 or 15 hats, as we like to say, that you're wearing, you may not have time to make those little short plays. But anyway, number 3 in this essential strategies you need for 2019 is content. Let me move on to another very important thing, and that is paid advertising. You know, there are a lot of you out there that are still struggling with this idea of paid advertising, and you're bucketing it in a column called an expense, when you should be bucketing paid advertising into the category called investment. Okay, so when you're putting investment dollars into play on paid advertising, and again, it could be Google ads, could be Bing, it could be Facebook ads, it could be LinkedIn, whatever the paid, and we're speaking totally digitally, right? I'm not talking about newspaper, radio, billboard. If you're doing that, you're fine. It's actually interesting that I bring that up, because most of the people that I talk to, when they are coming from the paradigm of using billboards, radio, TV, traditional display advertising in other channels, they don't think of it as an expense. They think of it as a have to. Like, we have to do our branding, and we have to do our marketing in this magazine, or we have to do this marketing on this billboard, or we have to be advertising on this radio channel or this television station. And you don't really expect an ROI. You just feel like you need to do it for branding purposes. But then when you switch gears and jump online, you're afraid to put any money into Facebook ads. You're afraid to put any money into Google ads because you think of it as an expense, right? So it's just a very interesting dynamic. But in 19, you have to have a paid advertising strategy. If you work with our agency, and for years we didn't do it this way, but for years, back when SEO was fairly easy to get a client ranked and get traffic coming into the site, it's not as easy today. We mandate that you have a paid advertising strategy, and we recommend that you do that on both Google and or Facebook. And if you're B2B, that's going to be Google and LinkedIn. Okay, so strategy number 4 is that you have a paid advertising strategy going into 19. Item number 5, you must be building an email. One of the strategies that we constantly are talking to people about is when you invest in paid advertising, or you're investing in traffic coming to your website, And then we don't see that people are building an email list. It makes no sense to me if you're paying for traffic. And by the way, you are paying for traffic, whether you're paying someone on your team to drive traffic organically, or whether you're using a advertising strategy, Facebook, Google, LinkedIn, whatever that might be, you've already paid for the click. So you must find ways to get that traffic to become an asset for your business. They may not be ready to buy the day that they click on your ad. And in most cases, 96% of the time, they're not, right? So we see so many people come and say, well, I worked with a company and they did AdWords for me. Or, hey, I hired this SEO company for 6 or 12 months and nothing really happened. And blah, 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 blah. And then we reverse engineer and say, well, how many emails did you capture during that 6-month or 12-month window? How many emails did you capture after you ran that campaign for 10 grand, 30 grand, 100 grand? And the answer will be not many. And we say that that's such a shame. And I'll get to number 7. Number 7 is the worst thing ever. So we're talking about number 5 right now, and that is this idea of growing the email list. But most importantly, you have to be thinking long-term. Every dollar you spend on advertising, you want to get a return. But the return isn't always immediate in terms of a sale, okay? So the way to do that is to be finding a way to get someone to provide their email address for an item of value that you share on your website, okay? Look, email isn't the holy grail as it once was. It is still very, very, very high ROI, but most people aren't even making the attempt. I visit hundreds of websites a year, hundreds of them. And this is the number one mistake I see being made when it comes to after you've already driven the traffic, you're not trying to build an asset, okay? Let me move on to number 6. Number 6 is, why is it so important to build this email list? Well, number 1 is because you can then build audiences, custom audiences out of your email list, okay? Let me give you an example. One of our largest clients, $80 million firm, international company, and they had a list of about 1,800 customers, okay? 1,800 customers, that's good. That's good customers. But what they weren't doing was they weren't using the AI capabilities of Google and Facebook and LinkedIn, for example, to take that database and have those platforms go find other people that look like their customers, right? So if you've got a list of prospects, you could have a list of people that are customers of yours, and you could have different products, different divisions in your company. One of the companies we work with, they have like 12 divisions in their company. So each of those buyers might look like somebody different. In this international company, they have different types of buyers. They could have a $2 million customer. They could have a $1,500 customer. So every one of those customers have a unique profile. But if you're trying to grow one segment of your business, wouldn't it be great if you could take part of your CRM and take just the email addresses from those customers, match those up with the AI capabilities of Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, for example, and then have those platforms go find other people who have behavioral characteristics, demographic characteristics that mirror your ideal customers. I mean, so many of you are working so hard to find new customers, but you're not even using the very tools that are out there that these hundreds of billions of dollar companies have put in place. They've got all the data. We need to be able to tap into it. So lastly, number 7, in order to be able to do this effectively, this is probably the number 1 thing you need to stop and think about right now heading into 19. And I'm going to list a bunch of retargeting pixels or pixels, technology that you need to have on your website, because this is number 7. And I call it a strategy because it is going to start doing some of the heavy lifting for you, right? Do you have your Facebook pixel installed? Well, let me back up on that. Do you have Google Tag Manager installed on your website? Google Tag Manager is like a bucket that you put all of these codes and tracking scripts in so that your website, going back to my very first strategy, speed, if you're not using Google Tag Manager, I can guarantee you're slowing your website down. So Google Tag Manager, number 1, is where it's a bucket that lets all of these tracking scripts and scripts that have to load on your website that slow things down, put them in this one bucket. Okay, so number 1, you should be using Google Tag Manager. Number 2, do you have your Facebook pixel installed inside of that Google Tag Manager? Number 3, do you have the Twitter remarketing tag installed? Do you have the LinkedIn tag installed? Do you have Google AdWords remarketing installed? Do you also then have, let me see, what am I missing? LinkedIn, Google, Instagram's tied to Facebook. Anyway, you got to get these pixels installed. I think I'm missing somebody. Google AdWords, then you can set up your remarketing pixel with Google. You can set up your remarketing with audiences on Facebook. But those core pixels, they're just little scripts. They're just little codes They go on your website, and whether you're actively advertising right now or not is immaterial. You need that data. Here's the big mistake. People come to us and then they want us to start generating ROI, traffic, leads, and sales for their marketing campaigns right out of the gate. Well, guess what? Then I go back and look at all of the problems that they had, and they never tracked a thing. By the way, Google Analytics was the one I was thinking of. So Google Analytics needs to be there. And if you've got a third-party CRM, that third-party CRM needs to be there. For example, if you are using a tool like HubSpot, or you're using a tool like ActiveCampaign or Drip or ConvertKit, Act-On, Marketo, that script also needs to be in Google Tag Manager. And this is just to name a few. My last tip about this whole idea of remarketing pixels and tracking pixels is you've already paid to get the traffic. You need to let these third-party platforms start capturing the data so that you can improve and optimize your campaigns. It is interesting to me that I could take someone who's been marketing aggressively, spending money, investing for the last, 8 to, say 6 to 12 months, let's say, 2 years could be, and they spent all this money and they're upset, but they haven't got any data. And it's like we have to start from scratch, and you're doing yourself a disservice, right? So yeah, maybe the marketing could have been better, maybe the copy could have been better, maybe the ad campaigns could have been better, maybe the targeting could have been better. All of that could be true. But if there's no data for the next company, whether it's us or somebody else, to pull from, to find out where the problems were, you literally are starting from scratch every single time you shift gears. Okay, so let me send a recap. Let's recap this up and let you go. 7 essential strategies you need to be thinking about into 2019. Number 1, your website speed needs to be a priority. If you don't have anybody on your website right now, if you don't have anybody that's working on your site, you need to get somebody taking a look at your speed site. I'll put a link above or below so you can go check out how fast your website's moving. Google has some tools. There's a couple of other tools out there. Number 2, you need to be looking at your website through the eyes of a mobile device, okay? Everything is happening on these mobile devices. Do not take the mobile user experience for granted into 2019. You will suffer greatly. Number 3, content. If you're an expert watching this video, you have to be creating content. You have to be creating content. That's either blog content, video content, combination of the two, image content, and you've got to be getting that content multi-purpose, repurposed all over the web to give yourself an advantage, okay? More and more customers, or more and more businesses are online today. If we were talking 2010, you could probably get away with a lot less content. This isn't 2010, okay? Number 4, paid advertising. You've got to get serious about paid advertising. If you don't know how to do paid advertising, then you need to get somebody who knows how to do paid advertising. And by the way, paid advertising is not setting up Google AdWords Express. Let's be clear about that. By the way, paid advertising is not posting something on Facebook and then Facebook sends you the notification that this post is doing better than your last post or the last 10 posts, and you should be boosting that post. That's not good advertising. There may be a right reason to do that, but you can't just take these platforms and let them tell you what you should advertise. You need a strategist on your team that can tell you exactly how to build the proper ad campaigns. Item number 5, you got to be building that email list, right? Number 1 asset that you have in your business. Everything can move from an email list. We fill up our 2.5-day digital mastery event from our email list. Most of the people that hire us are from our email list. It isn't that we get people that just call on an ad and hire us. It's not that people just visit our website one time and hire us. When you're hiring a company that, for an agency standpoint, companies pay us anywhere from $30,000 to $120,000 a year to engage with us, both for strategy and execution. And if the right companies come to our website, they're not just calling us that day to write that check. There's going to be an incubation period, right? So they're going to give us their email list, they're going to download some content, they're going to go through some nurturing sequences until they believe that we're the right fit for them. Then they're going to reach out and have that consultation call or pay us for some consulting that leads to the engagement. Okay, but every other thing we do, filling up our online coaching program called the Inner Circle, everything we do starts with our email list. You have to put that into your strategy 2019. Okay, number 6, we need to be talking about audiences, right? Building these custom audiences that are going to allow us to do proper retargeting. I almost think audiences today are almost better than an email list. And I'm not willing to go on record and say that just yet, but because you can build audiences that you can then run ads to faster than you can build an email list and cheaper than you can build an email list, I'm almost willing to say that building custom audiences on Facebook or LinkedIn or Google is a better strategy. The only reason I won't go there right now is because you don't own any of those platforms. So the reason why I love email is because you own the email list. The reason why I'm a little hesitant to shift my position after all these years, and by the way, I've been in email since 2002, I'm not willing to shift my position yet on audiences 100%, although I believe they should be at the number 1 or 2 strategy, is because you don't own Facebook, Instagram, and Google, YouTube. You don't own those platforms, but they are super, super powerful. Let's finish up with number 7, which is pixels and retargeting. Pixels and remarketing. If you don't get your pixel technology straight on your website, you are wasting every single effort you ever put into digital marketing. And I know that sounds harsh. I know that sounds harsh, but I gotta tell you, I mean, even in our company, we have companies that just hire us to put all the pixels in place, because I get it, it's confusing. You know, I've got one of our clients and he has a multi-tiered funnel and a checkout process, and he was running ads and spent a bunch of money, and this pixel wasn't firing properly. Look, I get it. If that's your problem, reach out to us. We have a solution. We can get all that in place once and for all. You don't have to hire us as an agency. We'll just take care of all the tech for you and give it right back to you. So anyway, I want to wrap this video up. 7 essential strategies, at least I think I covered 7. I'll list them in the description for review afterwards. But anyway, thank you for hanging out, watching this video. If you like this content, do me a favor, give us a like, a thumbs up, give us, wherever you're seeing it, give us that thing that says you liked it, or say something about something else you'd like to hear strategic-wise as it relates to digital marketing. We're going to be working harder and harder in 19 to bring out more content like this, Facebook Lives and or just video uploads, so that we can keep helping the masses. If you're interested in any of our programs, our 2.5-day digital growth mastery event, boot camp style, 2.5 days working with our entire team, strictly on your business, small group of 15 people. Or if you're looking at more online coaching where we can help you strategically, just give you a sandbox so you can get your help on the various aspects of digital, you can look us up for that. And if you are looking for an agency partner or something in that neighborhood, we'd be happy to have a chat with you. But anyway, my name is Darrell Evans, co-founder of Yokel Local, and I will see you on another Facebook Live or another video here on this channel or somewhere around the web. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.